this was a clip, a minute clip. I want to put on the screen for people to listen to about him and Kevin Pelton talking about Jalen Duren.
Interesting is like there is this archetype of the rim running, rim protecting center. Can he grow beyond that with his skill as a playmaker, the skill to create his own offense, and then just will his rim protection match kind of the potential he has at that end?
The bigger question to me is his defense. That's the pivot point for him as a player, because if he doesn't become a good defensive player, I don't think he's ever going to be good enough offensively to really play a role on a great team, even though we all know he can just jump out of the building and catch lobs. And to your point, I've highlighted this in 10 things before. He has more feel on offense than people, I think, who don't watch the Pistons might expect, given his archetype as a player. He can face up. He can work off the bounce. He's a pretty good passer for a 20-year-old center. But as always, the question is going to be like, how much of that is he able to do on a team that has Cade Cunningham, who I remain pretty high on. We'll see how long Ivy is there, but other guys who are going to kind of control the ball, how much of that are you going to really lean into? So I think defense is the make or break.
So that was kind of the clip of them talking about Jalen Duren and the Pistons. So I kind of wanted to get like your thoughts and your reactions to what they were talking about with Jalen Duren.
There's some truth to what they said. Defense definitely needs to be his focal point at this point of the season and his career as well. I think there's enough offensive firepower around the Pistons right now where they don't have to lean on him to, erupt as a 20-point guy. Like, I just don't think that needs to happen. Defensively needs to be his focus. And we've seen some of that potential early as last season when obviously things kind of got off the rails. But when he was healthy and we didn't deal with the ankle injuries that he had, he looked like he was on his way to be one of those amazing rim protectors. I think he was leading the league in rebounding. His shot blocking was there. He was able to deter shots with his length. He wasn't dealing with the excessive foul trouble that he was developing throughout the season. The potential is there. Like, I don't see a problem with his growth at this point up to right now. Now, I do think it would help to see him shine a little bit more offensively, but again, I don't think they need to be relying on him. Like if a team gets hot and they got to throw to him in the post to cool. Like, I don't think they need to do that. And I think there's enough potential that we've seen already with his passing. Even his jump shot, like, granted, it's not great. It's not consistent right now, but the form doesn't look broke. He's grew exponentially as a free throw shooter. Like, I don't think that's talked about enough. From his first year to what he did in his second year, how he grew his numbers. Like, he was fantastic from the free throw line, especially with the contact that he's going to be able to draw in the paint. So, defense definitely needs to be his focal point. But again, I still do see him as one of those foundation pieces for the Pistons. And a lot of attention is going to be paid to his defense and see what he can do in the paint with the guys around him.
I talked about it yesterday. I honestly think that we all know offensively he's got a bag. Like, you get him around like 5 feet to the rim, by the rim, he's probably going to score. Mm-hmm. He's got a post game. He does have a face-up game. We just don't really see it too much. And there have been like pictures of him practicing some face-up stuff, some three-pointers, which a lot of fans aren't like too happy about. They want him to, focus on defense. I would just say, just because we don't see a video or a picture evidence of working on defense doesn't mean he's not working on it.
Right.
These guys aren't going to, document every part of their life. But I will say, I think defense is something that a lot of fans want to see if he can make the same kind of improvements as he did offensively this year. He has all the physical tools to at least bother shots. We're not asking him to, block 3 shots a game. It'd be nice if he did, but we understand there's a process. He's only 20 years old. Mm-hmm. I honestly think, they were pretty spot on with the defense. The one thing I just didn't agree with is they kind of said, how motivated would he be to, keep developing his offense if Cade Cunningham is there? Kind of like drawing a narrative that those two couldn't coexist if they both needed the ball in their hands, which I kind of think is false. I think Cade would defer to Jalen Duren if he had more of an offensive bag personally. Mm-hmm. But I think Duren is just scratching the surface as a player. I've never seen a second-year, 20-year-old player get talked about this much especially as a Pistons draft pick in recent memory, like I've seen so many fans just say, give up on him. He's never going to be a good player. Last year was inexcusable. I've never seen that personally, Eric. Like the kid's 20 years old. He's not even scratching the surface of what he could possibly be. And he already looks like a 10-year vet, just like his physique wise. Like it's wild to me that some fans just want to give up on the kid already.
Fans are impatient, man. Again, I understand it. I totally get it, just based on the lack of success that has been, provided from this team and this franchise. But no, he's too valuable right now. And again, at 20 years old, and again, it's short glimpses of some of the stuff that they're talking about, like him having an offensive bag. We didn't really see much of that because, like, kind of I've talked about all offseason. He played a lot of, I don't want to say out of position, but he was playing in areas where you aren't able to highlight. Like I think it was, I don't know if it was Jack Kelly or Kuka Hill. Shout out to them. But one of them put up a highlight reel of Duren isolating from the top of the key from the 3-point line. And he was scoring from there. That was cool. But that's not where you really want to be playing him at. Like, if he's going to be playing up there, he's going to be setting picks for Cade or off-ball screens for somebody else to come up for a shot. I didn't like seeing that from him. Even when they were in the summer league, they had him bringing the ball up and he's orchestrating the offense. Like, yeah, that's cool, but I feel like that doesn't need to be his focus right now. I don't think developing an offensive bag is like a priority for him right now. Granted, we want to see it. Sure, we want to see some growth. It would be nice, but I don't think that's a priority. The defense has got to be a priority. Doing it without fouling is a priority. And like, I think that's going to serve enough based on what they have. And I think simply based on how him and Cade play together offensively, again, I think Cade is one of the best passers in basketball, and his ability to not just hit Duren in space, but he throws him open in areas, and he's tall enough and long enough that he can go get the ball and put it down on a lob or a wide open dunk, and that's going to serve well for them. But defensively, I think he's going to have to make that growth. And again, even outside of the paint, he's shown the ability to guard in space on the perimeter, and that's rare for someone as big and as athletic and as young as he is as well. So the potential is there. I don't get the whole narrative of giving up on him already. Like, I think that's stupid. I think he's done enough to where we can say, okay, in a few years, we should see something special with him. Now, granted, what that looks like, we don't know yet, but I think the tools have already been flashing. Like, I've had the ability to see him work out before games. He puts a lot of time into working on the things that he needs to get better at, but he also has talked about the things that he knows are his focus, like defense and just being able to make the team better and putting them in the right spots in order to be as productive as possible on both sides of the ball. Like, I just think the tools are there. The flashes have been there. I don't see an argument in giving up on him already. That's just crazy.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna find a center like Duren in free agency. That's my thing. And I also want to give Vincent Goodwill and James Edward credit. Yeah, they have a paid podcast called The Detroit Players. And this summer, Vinny Goodwill said that he caught up with JD at Team USA Select. And he asked him about, like, effort, like, what was going on. And he was just like, I just wasn't trying last season. Like, he took full accountability that last season was just a really bad season. And it was an effort thing. He said, it wasn't my ankles. It wasn't my health. It was just me. But to your point, I think the Chicago game is one game that I watched recently where he was active. He was blocking shots. He was just a lob threat. Nikola Vucevic had no answer for him whatsoever. And I get it. Nikola Vucevic is like 50 right now. But the thing is, we've seen games where he can take over. He can, affect the game on both ends of the floor. The potential is there, man. It's just finding the right coach to untap it. Yes. And I think JB Bickerstaff and his staff, he brought in the assistant coach from Memphis that worked with Steven Adams. I can't remember his name. And Jaren Jackson Jr. Two good examples of what possibly Jalen Duren could become. I'm really excited to see what this new coaching staff can do, because it sounds like JB Bickerstaff is going to have a clear-cut plan for each individual player. You're not going to see him bringing up the ball up the court. Right. To your point, I think last year it was such a mess from the third game of the season to the 82nd game of the season, where a lot of players were just playing out of position, and they were just kind of saying like, well, shit, if no one else is going to do anything, I might as well just like score, because like there was no structure, there was no offense set up. It was a bunch of just like sloppy DHO, bad passes, maybe a pick and roll every 3 or 4 plays. Like I think structurally, JB Bickerstaff is going to bring more of a continuity to this team and get these guys in better position. Like he talked about not having Jalen Duren being on the perimeter defending. He's just like, that's what the guards are for. Like we want to have these guys in the paint to bother shots. Like, and I think that's something that he could possibly block more shots if he's not on the perimeter trying to chase, forwards or guards trying to block shots.
Exactly. Yeah. A lot of what Monty was doing just was so blasphemous. It just didn't make any kind of sense. It felt like they were just literally just trying to throw stuff at the wall to see what stuck. And I didn't like that at all. Again, Duren has unbelievable upside. I think that was one of the best moves that Troy Weaver did while he was here. Like that was a bombshell when he got acquired. And it makes sense. Again, when you have a guy like Cade, even Jay Ivey, who's a good passer too, Asar can handle the ball and pass well too. I think those guys are going to do a great job of complimenting him. And if the reports are true about the newfound company that Jalen Duren has, of some WNBA associates of his, maybe that's some new motivation for him. I don't know. I wouldn't give up on the kid yet. I think he has a lot of promise, and I really think JB Bickerstaff's going to do a good job of unlocking that.
Maybe she could teach him to play some defense. I don't know, man.
She'll help him out. I think so. She's going to do great wonders to everybody.
I'm joking, JD, if you're watching this. I'm joking, man. Congrats, though. Happy for you, brother.
Yes, sir.